Now we're getting back to the facts here. His kids haven't had shots. Why? That's what he says.
A problem with the same freaking mindset that created it. The freaking part I added in there. I inserted that in there. But that's what Einstein said. Now, can you imagine why would anybody that understands what I just explained want to do chemo and radiation? The reason is because...
Now, we talk about what radiation is so dangerous because it changes DNA and RNA and it creates cancer. Think about that. So does chemo, second generation cancer.
Of the propaganda that's fed to the doctors buy it hook, line, and sinker, and then they take it and they're put on the pedestal that, hey, you're a doctor, you know better. So when a patient argues with you, you're like, you're just a patient. You don't have a medical degree. You're just an idiot. You just listen to me and do what I tell you. And that's how our system is set up. So now when you say, doctors will give different opinions, opinions don't mean crap. Facts matter, and what matters is look at what the facts are. This double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover multi-center trial crap. Okay, they call that evidence-based medicine. No, it's not. Evidence-based medicine means medicine based on the evidence. Okay, it's not based upon a double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover multi-center trial. Now, some people would say, well, Dr. Patel, that's the evidence-based model. No, it is not. The evidence-based model was based upon Socrates, who said that the first form of science, the first portion of science is observation. Once you observe, you form a hypothesis, then you test that hypothesis. So evidence-based medicine, as they're using it in the double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover multi-center trial, very simply comes down to accumulating a whole bunch of facts. All right, so you get all these facts and you can build science on it. I agree with that. But just like you can have a whole bunch of bricks and you can put those bricks together in a certain way and make a house. But a pile of bricks does not make a house. Neither does a pile of facts make science. So to say that you collect a whole bunch of facts based upon a double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover multi-center trial and then call it science, it's like taking a whole bunch of freaking bricks and saying that's a house. That is not a house. You got to put it together to form a house. And this is, again, misinformation that's propagated by the media and doctors, they don't want...
Misinformation again. It's all about propaganda, misinformation, and their control of the narrative.
Want to be singled out. I'm like an idiot that just likes to be singled out. I don't care. I'm like you, Brett. I really don't give a crap. I only care about my family. I care about what the creator thinks and what my patients think and what my father thinks.
So
go ahead.
But your kids have had shots before, correct?
Negative.
Well, I wish I would have known, but I had shots growing up. Nothing happened to me. What about all the
shots? You had shots at a different time in your life when, look, this is what's amazing to me, how many people really don't know. And I know, Brad, you're an informed person, and yet you don't know this, and how many people don't know this. And I've talked about this in more and more interviews. So again, we open up a different can of worms, but I'm gonna go here because this is really important.
I'm a can opener, doctor. I'm a can opener.
And I love that. I love that. I just wish that I wouldn't have to keep on, I feel like I'm a broken record because I keep on saying the same thing, but this is important, so people need to hear this. So the CDC's own data is that 1% of the world's population has autism right now. 1% of the world's population, 7.7 billion people, that's 77 million people have autism. Now let's look at autism and the history of it. We go back to 1991. The incidence of autism was 1 in 10,000 children, all right? In 1991, you were probably what, 20 years old?
20, yep.
Okay, so for us, for people in our generation, we weren't getting the same number. We got the shots like they did before 1991. And we got them when we were a year old, 2 years old, whatever the case was. It was spread out. In 1991, they decided they were going to stamp out childhood diseases, and they formed a new agency called the National Vaccine Initiative. Actually, it was a new project. They called it the National Vaccine Initiative, and they said, we're going to stamp out childhood diseases from this point on. And from that point in 1991, they started giving vaccines to babies on the first day of the planet. On the first day they're on this planet, they're getting vaccines. All right, well, what's the big deal with that? I'll give you the big deals. One, mercury is only eliminated by the alimentary system, through the gastrointestinal system naturally. And the gastrointestinal system is not fully formed till 1 year of age. They're giving children this crap with mercury in it. Two, they're giving this to children.
Their intestines aren't formed. Why should they be given shots that early?
Under the pretense of building their immune system. Okay, fine. There's only one problem. The immune system, based upon the literature that you read, it doesn't even start forming till the 6-month age point. Most places, most literature will say 1 year to 2 years. some literature says the immune system isn't even fully functional until a child is 12 to 14 years old. But let's just go with the 6 months. At 6 months, the immune system is able to now mount a response. It's called seroconversion. It's when there's a foreign system, foreign body, like anything that foreign comes into the.
This is why 6 months of prenatal nursing and getting the milk from the mother is so important. And after that, they don't need to be nursed as much.
Body is called a hapten or an antigen. It gets inside the body sees it as foreign, creates what they call an antigen receptor site on the B lymphocyte, which is responsible for making the antibodies. That antigen receptor site is used as a template to now start kicking out antibodies that are the mirror of the antigen, comes and locks on and shuts it down. That's how the system works. That process is called seroconversion. That seroconversion is not capable of occurring till a minimum of 6 months of age, more likely about a year out. So now we're giving babies this vaccine under the pretense of protecting them from a disease when their body can't even mount an immune response. So that's number two. So we're introducing foreign things like mercury, crap that's very bad, but we know the body can eliminate it. Formaldehyde, glyphosate, nickel, all the stuff we're introducing to children, these are all toxic substances. Now we're giving it at the time that we're giving a vaccine that's supposed to build the immune system, yet the body can't even seroconvert. And now if our goal is to actually build the immune system, why are we giving these things that are immunosuppressive? They drop the immune system. Formaldehyde, mercury, nickel, they all suppress the immune system. Does that make any sense? I'm going to boost your immune system, but I'm going to give it to you at a time, then your body can't even convert it. And furthermore, I'm going to suppress your immune system at the same time. And then give DNA, adjuvants. Adjuvants are created, introduced to irritate the human system, to irritate the immune system. So now we have to give the adjuvants to increase the response. You're giving immunosuppressive, but you're giving these adjuvants that are going to increase the response that, guess what, have viral loads from other species that have mutated human cell lines in there. It is an exercise in madness. And Brad, I'm not going to let you interrupt me right now because I haven't finished yet. Let's just think about the idiocy of the vaccines. Now, let's look at hepatitis B. The child is born, we're going to stamp out the hepatitis B. No child's going to have hepatitis B. Ask any doctor that's worth their weight in salt, and they will tell you that hepatitis B affects 3 populations. 1, promiscuous individuals like prostitutes and such. 2, IV drug users. 3, healthcare providers. Not because the healthcare providers are prostitutes of the pharmaceutical industry, but because the healthcare providers are being exposed to IV drug users and prostitutes in the hospital setting. So that is the 3 subcategories of population that are susceptible to hepatitis B. Now, you have hepatitis B that you're concerned about. We also know that you need 3 injections, usually given a month to 2 months apart, 3 shots, and it only works for 10 years, supposedly. You should actually do an antibody titer afterwards to see if you even need another booster, but typically it's understood that you get 3 shots, 10 years later you get another shot as a booster. Now, our baby is born. We're going to give them a vaccine, hepatitis B, that has mercury, formaldehyde, nickel, DNA addicts, all this other crap, at a time their body can't seroconvert, and at the time that their body is not able to clear the mercury and all these poisons with immunosuppressants on board for a disease that, do we really think that our child, our newborn baby, before they turn 10 years of age, are going to become a prostitute, an IV drug user, or a doctor or a nurse? So tell me, where is the logic in any of this? So people call me an anti-vaxxer. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-stupidity. And the modern day vaccine schedule defies every aspect of human physiology whatsoever. There's absolutely no relevance to protecting a child and giving them a vaccine. And there's not one single researcher or doctor that is pro-vaccine that will take me on a public forum. They will not do it. They refuse. They won't take me on. They won't take Del Bigtree on. They won't take Bobby Kennedy on. They won't take Dr. Sherry Tempany on. They won't take anybody on because...
So why do all these doctors who, again, seemingly like nice people, enter doctorhood or whatever the hell you call it, to help people? Why is it only a very few with balls will come out and say anything? And why would most of them continue to do it? Because again, this doesn't sound like rocket science. This sounds like you're just making observations. You're just like, holy shit, this is stupid. This is madness. Well, then why is every doctor not saying anything and continuing to shoot little babies?
I think that more and more doctors are becoming aware, and there's secret footage that was taken at the World Health Organization that Del Bigtree shows. Del's he's an Emmy Award-winning producer that was the producer for the show Doctors. and they had somebody that came on the show, and the doctors kind of teamed up on this parent who was against vaccinations for the reasons that I just outlined. She may not have been as eloquently able to explain it as I did from a physiological perspective. Not that I did it eloquently, but do you understand with as much clear science as I
Mockingbird.
did. I'm sorry?
That's Project Mockingbird in a full effect.
That's right. That's right. So they basically,
Because I saw that episode, and you know what? It made me second guess not wanting vaccines. I'm like, well, maybe they're right, and that's what they're doing. They're softening the public to go take vaccines.
that's exactly what it was. And to Dell's credit, he didn't know enough about it, but he started looking at it, and he was appalled by what he saw, and he left a nice cushion job as a producer of that particular show and ended up helping to produce the first Vax movie. And now he's got his own podcast show that he does online about the dangers of vaccines. And my point is very simply that this particular issue, when you ask me why don't most doctors talk about it, I think part of it is because of fear of ridicule. Doctors are very simple-minded people. They've been put on this pedestal. They want to retain that status. They don't want to be minimized or ostracized. They don't want to be attacked by the medical boards. They don't want to have their licenses put at risk. I mean, I've been fighting the medical board since 1999, North Carolina Medical Board. I've taken them on, I cannot even tell you how many times. I mean, it's like every year, something happens. In fact, now at this point in the last couple of years, when there's something out, they just want me to go away. My attorney said this, like, they don't even want to deal with you. They just want you to go away because they've bitten into you so many times, they've gotten a bad taste. One of my original attorneys told me, he goes, you're like Rocky. And I was thinking, like Rocky, like, yeah, I'm a good fighter. And he's like, no. They just punch you and punch you and punch you, and you're still standing, and they just got tired of punching you. So they're like, let's find somebody else that we can punch either. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't know why other doctors aren't speaking up about it. I think more doctors have started speaking up about it. I think that 3 weeks ago when I did the very first release, I really called out a lot of doctors, and to their credit, some have stepped forward, some nurses have stepped forward, and I applaud them. To the rest of them that aren't saying anything, you can't. I've been told that I need to be more compassionate towards doctors. I had a friend tell me years ago I need to be more compassionate, and I thought, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, my patients love me. I mean, they do anything for me. I had patients tell me that they would take a bullet for me, and he said, no, I'm not talking about your patients. I'm not talking about the general public. I'm talking about you need to be more compassionate about doctors, for doctors. And I have a real hard time being compassionate for doctors because I have, for 29 years, been a doctor, and I have seen firsthand over and over and over and over again, doctors not doing the right thing because they were more interested in personal safety. And I'm not just talking about speaking out. I'm talking about even things when it comes to patients. There is a very, very sad statistic, Brad, that most of the world doesn't know. And this is not a new statistic. This was actually published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, I believe in 2004. The first leading cause of the first leading cause of death in the industrialized world. In the third world, it's infection, it's a lack of water, lack of sanitation. But in the industrialized world, in the G8, the leading cause of death, heart disease, cancer. Let's skip over number 3 for a second. And fourth, neurodegenerative disease. When you look at cancer and heart disease, they represent 80% of all deaths on the planet, okay? This is information that was released by the World Health Organization and also data that was collected by Johns Hopkins. I'm bringing two different statistics together. They both had two different statistics. So World Health Organization said 80% of all causes of death in the industrialized world are cancer and heart disease. And if you add neurodegenerative disease to it, then it's 92% of causes of death. So that means 92 out of 100 people that are dying of neurodegenerative disease, cancer, or heart disease. Now, 8% of people are dying. The remaining 8% are dying from all natural disasters, all wars, all other disease processes, homicide, suicide, accidents, whatever. Everything else only represents 8% of death. 92% are coming from heart disease, cancer, and neurodegenerative disease. Now you go to the 2004 study from the Johns Hopkins data, the top medical school in the United States, as published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. And please excuse me if I've got the wrong reference, if it's 2004, 2005, it's sometime in that time frame. You look at their published study, it talks about number 1 cause and number 2 cause. It alternates between cancer and heart disease. It used to be cancer, now it's heart disease, but regardless, it was cancer then. 2 was heart disease. Number 3 was something called iatrogenic disease. Number 4 was neurodegenerative disease. Do you know what iatrogenic disease is?
No.
Iatrogenic disease, and this is how sad the medical profession is. We have our own terms to describe certain things that the public doesn't understand. Iatrogenic means doctor-induced. It means as a result of coming to the doctor, whether it's directly the doctor or the hospital or the pharmaceutical intervention, it's induced by the medical profession, by the healthcare profession. That was the third leading cause of death as published by John Hopkins in the Journal of the American, in JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association. Now, you know what?
Which means doctor mistake, right?
Doctor-induced mistake. That was the third leading cause of death. Now, do you know what the defense was? So people that argued against that data? Take a wild guess what the defense was about, how would you defend if somebody said you're the third leading cause of death on the planet or in the industrialized world? What would your defense be?
My defense would be, I'm only doing what you're telling me to do, pricks.
And that's what you would think that'd be the logical answer. You know what the defense of the medical hierarchy was to try to defend those statistics?
What?
It's not the third leading cause of death. They said that the data was wrong. It was only, get this, it was only the fifth leading cause of death. That was the defense, that it wasn't the third leading cause, it was the fifth leading cause. It shouldn't be even in the top 1,000 leading causes of death.
Yeah.
But yet that was their defense. Now, I'll tell you, there has been 3 times in history that I know of that doctors went on strike. Once was in Israel, once was in California, and I don't remember where the third time was. But all 3 times that the doctors went on strike, guess what's happened to it? The death rate, it drops. And when they came back, went back up.
So one of my questions, and again, I'm
going to end it here. This is mind-blowing stuff. He's got some real cojones. Third to fifth leading cause of death, doctor-induced death because of mistakes they made. Unreal. And you got their own term for it too. I'll tell you, you need to pay attention to what's going on. When doctors go on strike and the death rate goes back up, that should tell you something. Unreal. Maybe I've been blessed not to have insurance and not to go to a doctor. Roger Mark from Billings, Montana.